What is going on, everybody? My name is Fitz and this is my 1994 E34 wagon. Now, you've probably clicked on this video. Watch this before you buy an E34. Whether you're looking to buy one or just looking to learn more about them, I'm here to go around the car and tell you guys today what you should look for when buying an E34. For that matter, any car in general. These will just be some good things to look for. So, without further ado, guys, let's get right into the video. Starting off, you're going to want to walk around the outside of the car. You're going to want to look for dings, any body damage, any mismatched body panels, which means it has been repaired in an accident, or if it's just damaged in the first place. Something on E34s in particular, this comes up a lot unless you have a white one, is the clear coat. The clear coats on E34s get absolutely shot, but you can always get a Mako paint job. You can always buff out the clear and re-clear it, or you can just drive it as is. Another something you want to look for on the exterior of the car is the gas tank. Thankfully, mine works fine. It's on the car, but for some reason, they do have a habit of falling off or just being completely missing. Now, on the interior of the car, when you get in this thing, you're going to look around and obviously, you're going to check the dash for any dash lights. You're going to make sure all the individual gauges on your cluster work, the gas gauge, the speedo, the tachometer, and the temperature gauge. You're also going to want to check the temperature gauge to make sure that it is keeping temperature, not too hot, not too cold. You really just want a car that runs well in general. You guys don't need me to tell you that. Something that is common in E34s, once again, is a broken glove box. Sadly, mine has fell victim to that. You're just going to want to open it, make sure it opens and closes properly. But if you open it and the whole thing falls, don't worry, it's a common issue. And you can just clip it right back in, leave it, and it'll stay shut. Now, in sedans, you're going to want to look for the toolkit in the trunk. You're going to pick it up, fold down the toolkit if it has it. Most likely the tools have been lost over the years, but if they haven't, it's a good sign the car has been taken care of through the previous owners. Also, while you're inside the car, you're going to want to make sure that heat, AC, radio, as much of that works as possible. You're going to want to check all the lights, all the interior lights. You're going to want to check the seat conditions, make sure there's not any rips, or if there are, what you want to deal with your E34. Now, this one goes for any car in general, but for E34s, when you start it up, you're going to want to make sure there's no weird noises, no knocking, no ticking. You're going to want to check the oil, make sure it's been kept up to date. You can also just go ahead and ask the previous owners, hey, have you kept this car up to date with its maintenance? When I went and looked at the E46 wagon, we said, hey, have you done any maintenance on this car? It's like, oh, I've just driven it for the past 8 months. That was a big red flag when you're buying a vehicle, and a big red flag for the E46, and I knew at that point I didn't want it. It had a coolant leak, and the fact that he hadn't done any maintenance while owning the car for the past 8 months, don't. So feel free to ask the owner that you're buying the car from if they've kept up with their maintenance. Another big problem for E34s that you're going to want to look for is the windows. You're going to want to make sure all the windows go up and down. And if they don't, you're going to want to look into replacing that, or at least know how in the future. Once again, my E34 has fell victim to this. My front window regulators are shot, my rear ones work, but thankfully it's wintertime and I don't need my windows down all that often. They do stay up, but keep that in mind when you're looking for an E34. Now, this next issue that I'm going to talk about is probably one of the most common E34 issues that I've seen. Again, I dealt with it with my E34, and it's gonna be the seat twist, the classic E34 seat twist. What happens is these seats are belt driven, they're motor driven, wire driven, whatever you want to call it. With your electric seats, when it goes up like this, one side will get stuck and the seat will begin to twist. So you're gonna want to lay the seat all the way back down, bring it all the way back up, and ensure it doesn't have any major seat twist. Now, this can be a super easy fix. I did it in about 10 minutes one night, and it was super easy to do. So don't be alarmed if you see that. Just know, hey, I can get a little bit more off the price, and 2, it's an easy fix. Again, with E34s, these guys have a steering box, so you're gonna wanna check for any front end wobble or shake. Not a huge issue, but just keep that in mind when you get it up to speed. Also, guys, when you are taking this thing for a test drive, well, first of all, take it for a test drive. When you're taking it for a test drive, absolutely beat on it. This is something Carmelo told me with the Skyline, and I've done it with every car I've driven to test drive to buy since then. So this is going to ensure nothing is breaking, no check engine lights are going to come on, to ensure that it can handle getting up to speed just fine. Now obviously when you buy it, you don't have to beat on it the whole time, but for the test drive, go ahead and ask, hey, can I give this thing a nice pull? Put it to the floor and just get her going. Now, one of the last things you want to do before buying your car, if you've gone over the rest of these options and you say, hey, you know what, this thing looks really good, it drives good, a good candidate for my next daily or my next project, go ahead and run a Carfax on it. I think it's like 30-40 bucks, but it is 100% worth it. You get a full accident report history for the accidents that have been reported. Now remember earlier, this is when I talked about mismatched panels. Those accidents can be repaired with cash. They don't have to be reported through insurance, but just keep that in mind when you're buying a car. And lastly, if you want this to be a nice daily that you are going to keep for years, one that you want to drive with no problems, take it to a shop and ask them to do a look over the car. Now, most shops I've found charge about $100 to go completely through the car, tell you anything that's wrong with it, and that way you don't have any surprises after buying the car. You know of any leaks, any problems, big or small, and that way you know exactly what you're buying. Other than that, guys, for the most part, if your E34 turns on and runs and drives, you will be just fine. These M50s are absolutely bulletproof as long as you keep oil in them and change the belts regularly and your other regular maintenance, all the fluids, brake fluid, coolant. But like I said, if it turns on, runs and drives, for the most part, you guys should be just fine. I'll give you guys a little pros and cons rundown list if you are deciding to get an E34 with the 6-cylinder. It's slower than the 5-cylinder option, but at the same time, it has more fuel economy. If you guys are getting the wagon, you guys are going to have tons of space, tons of room, a cooler body style than the sedan, but it's bigger, it's heavier, and it's just more of a boat than the 5 Series already is. E34s do come in a manual option, both with the 6-cylinder and the 8-cylinder. Mine is automatic. You're going to want to make sure they shift smoothly, but if you do get the manual, they're just as reliable as the automatics, and you'll have a little bit more fun with your 5 Series. Misfires are common on E34s. That can be anything from O2 sensors, ignition coils, spark plugs, ignition coil boots. So that's just something to keep in mind. If the car you're looking at has a misfire, it's not a big deal. It's very common. And it's also something that can be easily fixed with a little bit of money and a little bit of your time. One last thing I'll say or warn you about if you are looking to get an E34 is BMW tax. Now, for the most part, parts are readily available and cheaper, but some things will have BMW tax. Parts will be more expensive solely because it's a BMW, and then labor specifically will be way more expensive because it's a BMW. And I found that with my E90 especially, a lot of shops would just deny me because it's a BMW. Now I'm assuming that's the same for the E34 because it's a BMW. It's German, it's a little bit harder to work on than what most people are used to. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for an E34. Other than that, I've had this car for about a few weeks now. Fixed it up, gone through the car, made it completely drivable, completely dailyable, and I would feel comfortable taking this thing on a road trip. E34s are absolutely beautiful. They're great. They're an older BMW, so reliability wise they're amazing, and I don't have too much else. But if you guys have any more questions, if you guys have any questions at all for me, please let me know down in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them for you, and I'm looking forward to keeping this car for a long time. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Fitz Miller and the E34 back here with another video, and I will see you guys in the next one.